Okay, so now that we've finished watching and reading for gist, defining what a Shakespeare comedy is, now that we have a working definition of a Shakespearean comedy, now we want to transition into thinking about and gisting for how does Shakespeare represent the women in his comedies? It's the big question we want to ask ourselves. How does Shakespeare represent the women in his comedies? So during this gisting video, we are going to pay careful attention to the characteristics of women in Shakespearean comedies. So, as you're watching and as you're listening, be listing and be thinking about the characteristics of women in Shakespearean comedies.
Or not lol. Shakespeare often works with stock characters, who you'll remember from Roman comedy and its inheritors. The disapproving dad, the headstrong lover, the wily servant. But part of the genius of Shakespeare is that these characters don't feel like stock characters. They feel like real people with real fears and real desires. In a lot of the plays by Shakespeare's contemporaries, we laugh at the characters, but in Shakespeare, we laugh with them. They demand our sympathy. In Twelfth Night, we laugh at the arrogant servant Malvolio, but when we see Malvolio's hurt, suddenly we don't feel so great about giggling. Shakespeare's comedy always comes with a hefty dose of empathy. And if the tragedies are about men, and yes, Cleopatra, I am generalizing, the comedies are very much about women. Sometimes they're about women trying to protect themselves. Sometimes they're about women trying to marry the men of their choice. Usually, they're about both. And in most of these plays, the women have to step away from their ordinary lives in order to succeed. They're going to run away into the forest, they're going to put on pants. If they're Rosalind and Imogen, they're going to run into the forest in pants, which is just sensible, really. It's how people should be running into the forest, if you ask me.